So, the DC Extended Universe. They don't have a great track record at this point. I mean, you had Man of Steel, which personally I liked. I thought that it showed Krypton, which was interesting. It had Russell Crowe as Superman's daddy, and it had a pretty good Superman as far as Henry Cavill goes. I'm not a fan of Superman by any means, but I enjoyed Man of Steel. And then you get it announced that here we go, we're going to finally have it. We're going to have Batman versus Superman done live action. That's interesting. I don't care who you are because I love Batman. Superman, I mean, how can Batman, who has no superpowers whatsoever, how can he go against Superman? It seems near impossible. And apparently it was because they did not make a good movie. I'm sorry. The ultimate cut, it kind of helps, but not enough to where you can walk away saying that it's anything more than just okay. And then you have Suicide Squad. When this was announced, I was so excited. And it's for a couple simple reasons. Number one, you have David Ayer, End of Watch. You got Fury, which is so good. The dude knows how to write. The dude knows how to direct. And you get him for such an interesting premise like the Suicide Squad is, where you have Harley Quinn for the first time in live action. We're going to get to see a new Joker, and you promise us an interesting story that features supervillains. That's not what we got. That is not what Warner Brothers gave us, and they're going to suffer because of it. The Joker, he was good, and I enjoyed him overall, but he didn't get near enough screen time. The character felt very underdeveloped, and whether that's maybe Jared Leto's fault, he got too caught up in the method acting spectacle, or maybe he just wasn't given the screen time that he deserved. That way he could make a character that felt developed and felt interesting and someone that you were invested in. I mean, some positives were Will Smith as Deadshot was a very fun character. I know some people felt like he overshadowed the rest of the cast, and I would say, yeah, maybe he did, but that's because he did a very good job with what he was given. I was able to have a lot of fun with his character. Harley Quinn was very interesting to see. Margot Robbie did a good enough job. I would say she didn't knock it out of the park necessarily, but she didn't need to. She did what she was required. Diablo was someone I've honestly never heard of before. I'm not huge into DC Comics by any means. And so when they introduced Diablo, I was like, okay, seems interesting enough. Someone that can shoot fire from their hands. It's certainly not the first superhero we've ever seen do that. So I was interested based off of his mysterious backstory, and honestly, his character really ends up paying off towards the end. He's one of the few redeeming qualities of this film, and it was just fun to watch his interactions with the rest of the team because he's very quiet and reserved, where the rest of them tend to have a much more bombastic nature. So he played off the other characters really well. Even Rick Flag, who was played by Joel Kinnaman, that was interesting. That kind of weird love thing he had going on with June Moon, which is such a weird name, but I mean, I guess that must come from the comics. They're kind of forced to have to use that name. She's the Enchantress, which from the beginning I was a little hesitant with. They had a really cool premise with her. She seemed interesting at the beginning, but by the end she was reduced to a cartoon character that did not feel threatening at all. She had no motivations. She had really nothing interesting going on with her. So DC let me down yet again with that. Overall, the movie just felt like a jumbled mess. You can tell that they only gave David Ayer 6 weeks to write this script because it feels like a rush job through and through. Not really sure what Warner Brothers is thinking, but they really need to get on track. I personally, what I wish they had done is once, this is way back in March. They had time. Back in March when Batman v Superman was released and it did not meet expectations by any means. I think that they should have moved Suicide Squad to mid to late 2017. That way you have the rest of the year. You can release your Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman. Give people some time to kind of forget about it. Move into early 2017. Give us Wonder Woman. Let us see, hopefully. Oh my goodness, I'm hoping that Wonder Woman is a good DC movie because we need one desperately right now. Warner Brothers needs one desperately right now because if we don't get a good one, I don't even know what's going to happen because I don't see how they can keep going. But anyway, had they gone and just let you go from Batman v Superman, give us some time, recover with Wonder Woman, and then now that David Ayer has had some time, more than 6 weeks, to write this script. I'm not saying you can't write a script in a short amount of time, but if your artist needs the time, I mean, if you read that script, I don't know how you can greenlight it and be like, yeah, let's make this a movie. This jumbled mess that, was written in such a short amount of time and really has no character motivations, has really no stakes. There are no stakes. There's nothing to be afraid of or to worry. You're only interested in this movie because of the characters and the interactions that they have. You like the squad, but that's it. And it was enough, but not enough to really do much for you because this movie just, it falls apart at the hinges, and it's too bad because I wanted this movie to be good. I wanted Suicide Squad to be good more than anything because it's an interesting premise, and I love David Ayer and the Joker. There's Batman in here. I mean, come on, give me more Ben Affleck as Batman. Well, that's maybe a strong word, but I very much enjoyed Ben Affleck as Batman in Batman v Superman, and he's serviceable here, but even he isn't given enough time. I understand you just want to put in a cameo, but at that point, it's almost like, why do it? Because it didn't seem like enough. If you're going to put him in there, at least give him some time to move around and actually lend some weight to the story. But overall, I give it a positive review, Suicide Squad that is, because I was able to still have fun with it, and the redeeming qualities with being able to enjoy the time spent with the characters is enough to push it to a 6 out of 10 for me. But is that really, that's what the best that you can do right now, Warner Brothers? Because Disney and Marvel Studios are cranking out 8.5s and 9s and 9.5s and 10s. I mean, where are your guys's? I mean, give me an 8. Can I have an 8, please? Because I'm not getting anything. So I don't know. I'm really hoping that Wonder Woman is good. It has to be. The way I see it, if Wonder Woman is not good, DC is going to have a heck of a time trying to come back from that because they're at the end of their leash right now. People aren't going to give them much more slack. You have the die-hard fanboys that are trying to make little excuses here and there, and that's maybe enough to make Suicide Squad some money still. That you got people out there fighting for this movie, but you need to come back. And here's a few ways that I think they could do it. The easiest way is for Wonder Woman to be good, and I think it will be. I like the trailer. It interests me. Gal Gadot, she was all right as Wonder Woman in Batman v Superman. She didn't have much to do, but I appreciated the fact that they gave her some room to run around in Batman v Superman. It was a decent introduction to the character. So now I'm interested by we've never had a superhero movie in World War I before. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that space, with that period, with that tone. It looks like she's gonna kick butt and take names, and that's really all you need. As long as there's a good story to back that up, then you'll be okay. And if Wonder Woman is just okay, that's a good thing. That's all they need. They just need one movie where people don't walk out and have to argue with their friends if it was good or not. You need a movie where the majority of people are walking out saying, yeah, I had a good time with that. So if people can have a good time with Wonder Woman, then DC is, I'm not going to say they're in the clear, but they're headed in the right direction, and Justice League has a chance to pull them from the abyss. Now, if Wonder Woman is bad, DC is in trouble. I don't know what they're going to do. You can't blame it on Zack Snyder at that point, because the stink of Batman v Superman should be out of the room by that point. Suicide Squad will have left a bad taste in some people's mouths, but I think that if Wonder Woman is bad, Justice League is going to have a heck of a time trying to get people excited for DC films again. And even if Wonder Woman is bad and Justice League is great, I still don't think it's going to make the numbers that Warner Brothers wants it to make, because you're coming off of 3 mediocre to bad films. So I don't understand what the issue is. I've tried to understand, and I want to blame it just on, the big wigs in the studio. I don't know if it's the fault of the artists as well. I really can't tell. I feel like Zack Snyder made his fair share of missteps on Batman v Superman. I feel like a lot of those creative decisions that he made didn't quite hit home the way he had hoped. I feel like David Ayer certainly shares in a little bit of the blame with Suicide Squad, but I feel like ultimately his vision was not what we got. I feel like he wanted something much darker, much more grounded, and something that had more levity to it. Instead, we got something that just felt like a jumbled mess and very disconnected, and something that it felt like you just had to slug through to get to the end. It overall, I don't know that David Ayer, I don't think he gave us I don't think we got what he wanted to give us. I'll say that. So now, all we can really do is wait for Wonder Woman and hope that Patty Jenkins directs the heck out of this thing, and really knocks it out of the park, because if it's not good, I don't even want to think about what's going to be next for the DC Extended Universe. I saw the little teaser trailer for Justice League, and I actually enjoyed it very much. It was cool seeing, or hearing rather, Icky Thump by the White Stripes. It lent a very cool tone to the trailer. I like how they had the little Batman one-liners with Wonder Woman and with Arthur Curry, and the Flash. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for the Flash. He looks to be hilarious and very interesting and very fun. I like the lightning bolt effect as he moves at super speed. I like how he has the line about he will absolutely join because he needs friends. It's just, they're really setting up an interesting team here. Cyborg, I'm interested in. I would have much rather preferred that they had Martian Manhunter instead of Cyborg. That's mainly because I'm just a big Martian Manhunter fan. I think he's one of the coolest DC superheroes, if not the coolest DC superhero. And I feel like his character would have, he would have been a little bit more interesting to see him interact instead of to see Cyborg. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think that Cyborg will be fun in this movie. There's a lot of things that they could do with him. So I liked the teaser, and I'm excited for Justice League. I'm excited for Wonder Woman. The Flash movie, I have a lot of faith in. Aquaman, I think that they can do justice to Aquaman if they give James Wan the space that he needs. I think that's a big thing, because I think DC needs to learn something from Disney and Marvel and kind of be hands-on. I'm not saying give, your artists $180 million and then just be like, all right, go do what you want with all that money. But I am saying that I think they should give them the money, give them some parameters and some guidance and some tips and tricks and what have you, and then let your artists make their art and have faith in the people that you hired, because you hired them in the first place. If you hire them to do a job, let them do that job and trust that they know what they're doing, because these directors all have a track record. Zack Snyder has a track record. David Ayer has a track record for great films. I mean, come on, Fury was amazing. I love that movie. Can you tell? So it's one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. And I just have so much, well, maybe not fun is the right word, but I very much enjoy that movie. And I just didn't get the David Ayer fix that I wanted with Suicide Squad. I was very let down. Again, I'm still able to barely give it a positive review, but honestly, the more that I think about it, the more frustrated I get with it, and I have a harder time giving it that positive review, and that shouldn't be. The more I look back on a movie, the more I should be like, wow, that was a really good movie. My opinion should improve over time, because my favorite movie of all time, Inception, every time I think about that movie, it just gets me more and more excited about how incredible that movie is. I've seen it so many times, countless times, but every time I watch it, it gets better. And it's the same thing with Captain America Civil War. That movie, as far as I'm concerned, that is the best comic book film to date. The Dark Knight, close second. I love that movie. Guardians of the Galaxy, The Avengers, all great movies, but Civil War just, it's its own thing entirely. It runs in a league of its own, because it has everything. It has the humor, it has the action, and it knows what kind of movie it wanted to be. And Disney and Marvel Studios let them make that movie. The Russo brothers had a chance to do what they do best, and that is make good films. It's not rocket science, it's just filmmaking. It's the basics. It should be an easy thing at this point. If this was, following on the heels of X-Men or X2, and we were new to this whole shared universe comic book film thing, then maybe I would be more willing to cut DC a slack like I was back when Green Lantern came out. But we're past that. There are too many good superhero movies. Even Fox is able to pull off a couple good movies with First Class and Days of Future Past and such. So there are no excuses left for DC and Warner Brothers to make. The time it has come. They need to make a good film, and I really hope it's Wonder Woman. I hope that Justice League is good, and I'm really looking forward to The Flash and Aquaman. So that's my thoughts, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I had to rant through that. Had to get some things off my chest. Go ahead and like and subscribe and share this video with your friends if they feel the same way I do, feel the same frustration with Warner Brothers. And go ahead and follow me on Twitter and Instagram @ClanMcClellan. And have a great day, guys. I'll talk to you soon.